testimony up until floor time, and the path forward was to have Senator Carlson offer closing comments, and then the committee will discuss and takes action on 710. Welcome to committee. You can introduce yourself for the record. And
good morning, committee and Chairman Guthrie.
Morning.
I'm Senator Cindy Carlson from District 7. I just want to note that we understand the frustrations of all those who testified on this topic of obscene and harmful material in our schools and libraries. This issue has created a division in our state. This legislation creates a process that is fair for both sides. One side may want kids to have access to certain material, and the other side does not. By keeping material in the library, moving it to its rightful location, this solves the division. Parents can allow their children access as they deem necessary. Harmful material is not in all libraries, but it has been located in many. This bill does not attack libraries or librarians. The purpose of this legislation is to protect children from access to harmful material. We are trying to protect the innocence of children. It was proven last year that the material exists. There is no reason for me to show you the material today. I do have some if you want it. A study has shown that 74% of likely Idaho voters want the ability to remove a minor's access to harmful material. Representative Crane, Senator Schroeder, and myself have all worked on this issue. This is our 5th attempt at solving this issue. Sometimes this process is like making sausage. Last year, House Bill 314 passed through this committee and off of both floors, and the man on the second floor vetoed it, stating 2 things he would like corrected. We have addressed his concerns in this legislation.
Reducing the $2,500 bounty to $250 was Governor Little's recommendation.
Obscene material does not exist in the Idaho libraries. This year, in 2024, we are told that relocating harmful or obscene material will close them down. It does not exist. If it does not exist, then it should not be hard to relocate the material. In this legislation, we are codifying a relocation policy. Some libraries have a policy in place. Others do not. We are simply codifying a relocation policy. We have instituted a 30-day written relocation form. Senator Schroeder had a great idea in Senate 1289 that a form should be universal and reference our existing statute, Idaho Code 18-15-14. 30 days is a reasonable amount of time to review the material and relocate or put the material back in the library. The libraries have requested we use the Miller test, 18-15-14-6A, and asked that we remove 18-15-14-6B from Idaho Code because it goes beyond the Miller test. The request was accommodated in this legislation. 18-15-14-6B has not been challenged by the Supreme Court. The ACLU has threatened they will challenge this legislation. With this change, the worry of this legislation being unconstitutional goes away. House Bill 314 awarded $2,500 in damages. We have lowered damages from $2,500 all the way down to $250 for this legislation. This legislation keeps local control. Libraries and schools create their policy. The one requirement in the policy is to have the relocation form referencing Idaho Code 18-15-14. If we do not address this issue now, it will keep coming back as an issue we have to address. We know this material can be damaging to kids. Let's put the responsibility in the hands of their parents. There is no book banning. This codifies a relocation policy that is fair. This process is fair for both sides. Harmful material to minors is already in code. We're actually taking away language from the current code. This will not cause frivolous lawsuits. State courts have broad authority to throw out frivolous lawsuits and even punish citizens who file harassing lawsuits against the government. There's no evidence that causes of action created to protect important rights are misused to file frivolous, wasteful lawsuits. With that, I ask that you send it to the floor with a due pass, and I stand for questions.
Are there questions for Senator Carlson? Senator Taves.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator Carlson, you mentioned that there was some questions from the man on the second floor that were addressed in this. I was just wondering what those were.
Senator Carlson.
I have my notes very detailed, so I'm going to read you what I have. He wants no institution to go bankrupt and no frivolous lawsuits. This will not be, excuse me, I'm sorry, I forgot
Senator
protocol. Chairman Guthrie and Senator Taves. He has asked that there be no frivolous lawsuits and that he wants no institution to go bankrupt. So this would not allow institutions to go bankrupt. It's just removing them, the books, to a separate area.
$2,500 bounty last year.
Senator Carlson, a question for you. There was some, one of the presenters or testifiers last week had brought forth some amendments. Have you had a chance to look at them, and you care to comment on those?
Chairman Guthrie, we would consider allowing for 60 days or a longer period of time. Either way, the legislation will do or we could wait till next year and see how this works. It's up to the committee what they decide to do. We do not want to change the language, changing adults only to anything else. That is like cemented in statute. We want to keep that language the same.
Okay. Senator Winthrop.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Senator Carlson. I think the thing I've been thinking about since the testimony was, like, how do you actually determine what's adult? Because I think we agree there's no pornography in the library. So we're trying to identify material based on content that someone perceives as adult where somebody might not perceive as adult. So I'm just still kind of confused how we come up with that other than constitutional kind of provisions.
Senator Carlson.
Chairman Guthrie and Senator Winthrop. I think that most children, that the confusing for most people is probably in their teen year. Like, so some teens might be 16 going on 30, some teens might be 16 going on 10, and that is the problem. But we have clarified that adults are 18 and over. So if parents want their children to have access to this material, then they just allow their children to do it by allowing them to have access to the books that are in the adult section per se.
Senator Winthrop.
Thank you.
Other discussion or questions? Committee, House Bill 710 is up for your consideration. Senator Taves.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move we send House Bill 710 to the floor with a due pass recommendation.
Motion by Senator Taves, second by Senator Anthon. I think it was. That House Bill 710 be sent to the floor with a due pass recommendation. Senator Winder.
Mr. Chairman, for substitute motion.
Substitute motion's in order.
I'd move we send House Bill 710 to the floor with a recommendation to be sent to the 14th order of business for possible amendment. May I explain?
Senator Winder.
Once I get a second.
Motion by Senator Winder, second by Senator Harris, that House Bill 710 be sent to the 14th order for possible amendments. Senator Winder.
Counting heads last week, I'm not sure we'd even get this out of committee. My assumption is today that it'd probably be a tie vote if we voted on the original motion. I think there's some good reason and probably some ground we could make up here if we do get it in the amending order. And I think we've had some amendments proposed that would satisfy some of the libraries. So I would ask your support of the substitute motion.
Other discussion on the motion? Roll call has been requested. Senator Wintrow.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to support the substitute motion. I can't recall all the amendments that were suggested, but I do recall some of them would provide the library staff more time and the ability to do some planning and those kind of things. But I think in my heart of hearts, you know where I stand in that. I don't think I'm struggling with how we identify what is harmful based on what we've defined, and especially since schools don't have adult sections. I don't know any libraries that really have adult sections. I mean, we split the little kids and the teens, I guess, but I'm just really troubled by not following already established policies and rules that we have for libraries. All of them have review policies in place. I think 99% of them, if not all of them, now they probably do. We have constitutional provisions that protect us. And then we have elected members of the library board. So I think that local control, the Constitution, and the policies in place really are the belt and suspenders for defining, if there's questionable materials. So, but I will support that substitute motion because of the amendment suggested.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Anthony.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've been pretty consistent on this issue. I do agree with the pro tem. I think that if we're going to keep the process moving forward, we'll probably have to send the 14th order today. So I'll support that substitute motion.
And I guess the comment I would make is that I think Senator Carlson indicated this is the 5th iteration or attempt at this. And I think the reason there's been 5 attempts is because it's not an easy issue. And there are a lot of folks with opinions on either side. And I do think, despite the frustration that's out there on whichever side of the issue you're on, it's just, I think the one nice thing about this is it shows that it's been a deliberative type of process to try to get to the right spot. I don't know if we'll get there or not, but I think that's the efforts that you see the committee and the legislature doing, and certainly those that have worked on it have worked hard on it, and those that have concerns about it have expressed those, and we've been open to that and listened to those, and that's why it's been such a tough path to try to find the right balance. But Senator Taves.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to point out that the only possibility of a penalty for a library, in my understanding, is if there is material that fits the description of Idaho law that is harmful to a minor. So a lot of the other things that I've just seen books, titles of books thrown about that are obviously not that. So I just want to point out that there is no penalty for To Kill a Mockingbird being in our libraries or some of the other things that have been mentioned. But if there are books that fit the criteria of what our statute says, then it seems very legitimate that those should be taken out of our libraries. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And I think the other comment I would make is that no two libraries are created equal, and you have libraries that are massive and thousands of books, and you have small libraries, and you have libraries with limited staff and limited space, and it's hard to find the right policy that fairly covers all of those variables. So I think, again, that's why this has taken the time it has. We will take up the substitute motion first, which is to send House Bill 710 to the 14th order for possible amendments. Senator Byrne.
Just a comment. I've read over the bill, obviously, I think we all have, and I've read over the amendments. I've heard of other amendments that might be included as well. I'll support the motion to send to the 14th amending order, but quite hesitant to vote for it on the floor unless substantial changes are made to it. So just wanted to make that clear. Thank you.
Again, we'll ask Madam Secretary to call the roll on 710 to go to the 14th order.
Vice Chairman Byrne,
Aye.
Senator Winder,
Aye.
Senator Anthem,
Aye.
Senator Harris,
Aye.
Senator Lee, Senator Taves,
Aye.
Senator Wintrow, Senator Ruckty, Shea, Chairman Guthrie.
Aye. That motion carries unanimous, actually. Committee, is there any other discussions that need to come before us today?
Now, I want to point out the RS is what they write overnight, and it comes to the committee, and this small group of people determines whether or not there's going to be a bill that is going to be presented to the full legislature. And the 14th order means because is important because the legislature is going to end on Friday. And they want to get this through real quick. And they do this all the time. The legislature is 39 days longer than the Utah legislature. And when bills are having trouble, they listen to the testifiers, and everyone that testified on H721 were against this. All the librarians. There was only one young gal from Coeur d'Alene, I think, but she's been in things like anti-LGBTQ, transgender testifying, so she's kind of like a shill. But this was on Thursday, was it? The testimonies went all day, and that'll be included in this posting. But I wanted to point out to you, this is how they work it, and I hope you'll pay attention to what Winder said, what Anthon said, what Guthrie said. This is the way they've operated for years. And really, if the legislature days that cost millions of dollars to extend from 45, for example, to 79 days. This is why these laws, and this particular law, is coming from the American Legislative Exchange Council, which is the Charles Koch Industries, and through that organization. And the legislators bring this back from the annual meeting of ALEC to be presented in their name as their own bill, 721. But when you get into the weeds and you follow the money, this is how the Texas laws, anti-library laws, the Florida anti-library laws. In this particular case, last year, when the governor vetoed it and the bill failed to pass by one vote, there was $2,500 bounty on the libraries. And it failed by one vote, and the Idaho Republican Party and Chalice wrote a plank to their platform that said they had no confidence in Governor Little, had no confidence in the 14 representatives, including mine, because they voted against passing 721. Or at that time, yeah, it was a different number, I think. And so they said, well, if you guys do it again, we won't give you any money. We won't give you any support from the Idaho Republican Party. So this is a prelude to this, what is going on that you witnessed there with Senator Guthrie and Winder and Anthon. And so now going to the 14th order, when the session starts at 10 o'clock, in about an hour and a half, you will understand why the 14th order, because they'll immediately put it on the Senate floor to be debated, and I guess we'll see if it passes or not. But this is what they do. This is what they've done for years, and this is why, in my opinion, that the Idaho legislature duration should be reduced to 45 days instead of 79, where this nonsense goes on with these RSs at the last minute to push them through, as the legislators, many farmers who want to get their crops in, and they just want to get it done and get out of there.